You get into an elevator. Someone you don't know steps in behind you. Your eyes drop to the floor, your shoulders pull in slightly. You check your phone, even though nothing on it matters. This feels like a small, forgettable moment, but the real answer for why you do this is far stranger than simple manners. Your brain is not being polite in the elevator. It is running a calculation that is hundreds of thousands of years old, and it is running that calculation on every single stranger you meet, whether you notice it or not. Here is the strange part. For almost your entire evolutionary history, a stranger was rare, genuinely rare. Your ancestors lived in small bands, usually somewhere between 20 and 50 people. Everyone in that group was known. Everyone was tracked, remembered, placed into a mental map of who could be trusted and who could not. A new face showing up at camp was not a neutral event. It was a fire alarm system. Why? Because an unknown person could mean an unknown group nearby. And an unknown group nearby, historically, was one of the most dangerous things a small band could encounter. Not a lion, not a flood, other humans. The anthropologist Sarah Blaffer has spent decades studying this exact tension in early human groups. Her research points to something uncomfortable. Humans are unusually cooperative within their own group and unusually wary toward outsiders. And both of these traits evolved at the same time, for the same reason. You needed your tribe to survive, and you needed to be cautious about every tribe that wasn't yours. So your brain built a shortcut, a fast, crude, extremely efficient shortcut. Familiar face, relax. Unfamiliar face, stay alert. This shortcut didn't need to be right every time. It just needed to be fast enough to keep you alive most of the time. Now think about your actual life. How many unfamiliar faces do you pass in a single day? If you live in a city, the number is staggering. Baristas, delivery drivers, people on the train, people in the stairwell of your apartment building. Your ancestors might have encountered a genuine stranger a handful of times in an entire year. You encounter dozens before lunch. Your brain has no idea the world changed. It is still running the ancient program. Every unfamiliar face gets a tiny flicker of the same old question. Friend or threat? Most of the time, the answer resolves in a fraction of a second, and you never consciously notice it happen. But the resolving still takes energy. It still triggers a small psychological response. That is the tension you feel in the elevator. The neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux mapped much of the brain circuitry behind this. His work on the amygdala showed that this ancient structure evaluates unfamiliar stimuli before your conscious mind even catches up. The amygdala doesn't wait for you to think it over. It reacts first. You feel the tightness in your chest before you formed a single conscious about the person next to you. Is that fair to the stranger standing there? Almost certainly not. They were just trying to get to the 14th floor. But fairness was never the goal of this system. Survival was the goal. And a system built for survival doesn't get updated just because the environment changed. There is a flip side to this, and it is where the story gets more interesting. Because humans didn't just evolve wariness towards strangers. They also evolved one of the most powerful tools ever created for turning strangers into non-strangers. A shared story. The psychologist Muzaffar Sharif ran a now famous study in the 1950s called the Robbers Cave Experiment. He took two groups of boys at a summer camp who had never met each other, split them apart, and let each group form its own identity. Within days, the two groups treated each other as rivals, and then as outright threats, despite having no real reason for conflict. Sound familiar? That's the ancient in-group, out-group wiring, activated in a modern summer camp with nothing more than a shared cabin and a made-up team name. But then Sheriff did something else. He gave the two groups a shared problem to solve together. A truck that supposedly broke down, a water supply that needed fixing, something both groups needed and could only be fixed by cooperating, and the wariness dissolved, fast. That is the other half of your evolutionary wiring. Strangers become non-strangers the moment you share a goal, a story, or a group identity with them. Your brain doesn't actually need decades to reclassify someone from threat to ally. Sometimes it only needs one shared task. This is why you can walk past 100 silent strangers on a train platform and feel nothing but low background caution. And the bond instantly with a stranger stuck next to you during a flight delay or a random person cheering for the same team at a bar, the context changed. The category changed. Your ancient wiring recognized a shared tribe forming in real time and switched off the alarm. The anthropologist Robin Dunbar took this even further. His research proposed a now famous number, roughly 150, as a natural limit of relationships a human brain can meaningfully track and maintain trust with. Beyond that number, Dunbar argued, people stop being individuals to your brain and start being categories. Strangers, essentially, forever, which means most people you will ever pass on a sidewalk were never going to be individually processed by your brain at all. They were sorted instantly into the vast, undifferentiated group labeled, not my tribe, and filed away. Here's a twist that makes this even stranger. You are doing the exact same thing to them, right now, on some sidewalk somewhere. You are the unfamiliar face triggering someone else's ancient alarm. You are the stranger in their elevator. You are the reason someone else's shoulders just pulled in slightly. Nobody is a villain in this story. Everybody is running the same ancient software at the same time on each other. So the tension you feel is not a flaw. It is not social anxiety in the clinical sense, though it can certainly blend into that for some people. For most of us, on most days, it is simply an old alarm system, still wired for a world of 20 to 50 familiar faces, doing its best to make sense of a world of 8 billion. Knowing this doesn't shut the alarm off, you will still feel that small flicker the next time an unfamiliar face steps into your space, but maybe it changes what you do with it. Maybe the next stranger isn't a threat to brace against, but a 5-second opportunity. A shared elevator ride, a shared joke about the weather, a tiny, modern version of Cher's broken down truck, waiting for two strangers to solve it together. You get into an elevator, someone you don't know steps in behind you, and for the first time, you notice the ancient alarm going off, quietly, in the background. You don't silence it, you just say, hello.